Hello and welcome to another episode of Plot Mom. Today we're going to be breaking down my top 10 tips and tricks for NaNoWriMo success. I have been fast drafting for years and absolutely love it, but there are some pitfalls and some things that you can do to hedge your bets. So settle in and we're going to be going through them one at a time. Number 1, accept and embrace that your novel's going to suck. What I mean is, this is a first draft. This is a fast drafted first draft. It's going to be horrible. It's going to not make sense. There are going to be moments in it that have to be thrown out. Everything is going to have to be edited, no matter what you write. So embrace that it will suck. Let that just be part of your inner narrative. Let it be the foundation of everything you do, because if you accept from the get-go that it's going to suck, if you accept that you don't know what you're doing, that you might go in wrong directions, that you don't entirely know where it's going to end up, then you can't get lost. You can't do it wrong. So as soon as you give yourself permission to write a bad book, you have incredibly and exponentially raised your chances of success. Point number 2, have a story with a clear goal. Now, what I mean by a clear goal isn't necessarily a super simple story or even a story that's very predictable or anything. I'm just talking about a single driving goal for the entire narrative. It is not genre specific. It can be win the heart of the princess. It can be steal the treasure. It can be defeat the dark evil lord, or solve the mystery, or reunite with your loved one, survive in the apocalyptic landscape. What the goal is doesn't matter. What matters is in your mind that it is very clear that it has a beginning and an end to serve as the framework for the entire narrative. If you know where the story is going, you can write it. If you get lost in all these side quests and subtleties and intrigue, it will be so much harder to fast draft because you have to keep so much more in your head. So pick a story that has a single driving narrative all the way through and really embrace it. Point 3, have a proactive protagonist. Now, you can divide most protagonists pretty simply into 2 categories, reactive and proactive. So a reactive character, the plot happens to them, they react to the plot, and it's their story of how they react to bad things happening. In my first novel, Where Shadows Lie, I wrote a main character, Eleanor, who for the first half of the novel is incredibly reactive. Things are happening to her. It's bad things. They're horrible. And there's nothing wrong with writing a reactive character. But for fast drafting, for the sake of moving story along, writing a proactive character who wants something. In fact, not even that, who needs something, who has distinct goals and will pursue them. If you leave them alone, they will not sit down and read a book. They will be out the door, doing their things, moving your story along. This, even when you don't know where you're going, will drive your narrative forward because the character wants something. The character will pursue that goal with reckless intensity, and that makes writing a breeze, and it will make your NaNoWriMo novel go so much faster and so much smoother. So make your character, at least your protagonist, proactive, not reactive. Next point. Have time to do it. November is a full month. There's Thanksgiving, there's prep for winter, there's school finals, there's everything and its brother in November. So be realistic and have the time. Know how long it takes you to write 1,600 to 2,000 words a day, and make sure that you have time every single day to do it. And not just time to do the writing, but time to get in the writing zone. If you are not used to sitting down and having to be creative on cue, this could take a little while. So don't just have time for the writing. Have time for the walk you need to get into the zone, or the shower, or the cup of coffee. Have time for half an hour of beating your head against the table when it doesn't come, because while some days it might be easy, others it will be hard. So have a plan, not just for your writing, but for all the time you actually need to be creative, and be very honest about that. Me, I cannot be creative first thing in the morning. I need to watch a couple YouTube videos and drink my coffee and wake up, maybe do some dishes, maybe do something physical before I can even think about putting words on the paper. So I don't try to write in the mornings. I write late at night when everyone is asleep and no one can bother me and it's too late for chores, and if I do dishes, I will wake my housemates. So know when you write best, find that time, and cordon it off. Tell your friends and family, I am working. This is my time. Do not disturb me unless someone needs to go to the hospital, and stick to it. Do not let yourself get distracted. Don't turn on the internet if you can avoid it. And I do mean that. I mean, like, disconnect your computer from the internet. Just write if that's what you need to not procrastinate online. Be honest with yourself on how you get work done. Number 5. Use a plot map. And now I know that you pantsers out there are going to immediately dismiss this. And I don't mean don't pants. In fact, I am such a pantser for most fast drafting first drafts. I go in with the best intentions of following my plot, but I never do. But have a plot map so you can remember where the story is going, so that you know if you're hitting those marks, or if you're writing a story that's going to be way longer than 50,000 words and you're not going to be able to finish in 1 month, because the expectation of being able to complete something and failing to meet that expectation will diminish your chances of finishing the whole project or of doing it again in the future. NaNoWriMo works because it teaches you that you can write a novel in a month, that it doesn't have to be a lifelong endeavor. You don't have to pour years of sweat, blood, and tears into it. So, for those of you who pants, have a plot map anyways. You can throw it out the window, but have a beginning, have an end, have a few things that must happen just to keep you on track to actually succeed. I say this again as someone who loves pantsing, and more times than not, I have to stop about 80% through a pants story, throw it out, and start over again because it got so crazy and so off kilter. NaNoWriMo is meant to be a single month where you succeed in writing a full story. Try to embrace that. I mean, obviously, if you're going to write and the way you get words on paper is not having a plan, and that's the way you do it, and that's the only way that you can get words written, do that. There are no rules. Be a rebel. Do what you want to do. But from a ex-pantser and now plotter, consider a plot map. Number 6, right off the tail of the last one. Now we get to why a plot map is so great. It allows you to hype yourself up. Now, the way I do my plot maps for NaNoWriMo, I have 25 chapters. Each chapter is approximately 2,000 words. I'm going to go into this a little bit later about why I do this. But the next thing you want, once you have your plot map, once you have an idea of where you're going, and this was the key for me to make me take me from sometimes productive to productive almost 100% of the time, is hype yourself up about every single chapter, about every single scene. Write down what you really, really want to write, what you are excited to write. You know how in a romance you're just writing and writing and writing for that first kiss, you have all that tension building? Well, make every scene that exciting for you to write. Make it something that you're dying to get to. Because if you're dying to get to, A, you'll get there. B, the reader will probably also be dying to get there. If you are hyped up, it will show in the writing. It will be exciting for your readers, and it will be exciting for you. I cannot tell you how fantastic it is to write a chapter and be like, okay, no, I'm gonna get to the next one. I'm so excited. I cannot wait. I have to stop. Oh, damn it. It's 4 a.m. I should probably sleep. Nah, just one more chapter. It's a great feeling when you're writing 10,000 words in a day because you cannot stop because you are so hyped up about what you're doing. And that is the key to fast drafting. Hype yourself up, break down your plot map and say, this is why I want to write this scene. This is what happens in this scene that I'm excited about. This is the snippet of dialogue that I've been waiting to write my entire life. And if you aren't excited about a chapter, consider changing it. Consider throwing that chapter away or putting it in another location or conveying the information some other way because it's probably not necessary. If you aren't hyped up about it, the reader won't be either, and it probably isn't adding anything to the story. small exception to this, if you're writing something that is really, really technical where you must convey a piece of information and there's no other way to convey it, but make it short. Like, if you're not hyped up about it, don't drone on, just get through it and get to the next thing that you're really excited about. I promise it will make your writing way more efficient. Number 7, give yourself days off. Now, NaNoWriMo, you're supposed to write a novel in 30 days. You might think, this is impossible. Well, it's not. A, it can be done. B, if you don't give yourself days off, if you don't give yourself time to think about what you've done and give yourself time to breathe, take a shower, go out into the world, engage with anything that is outside of your work, you're going to burn out. And it might not be during NaNoWriMo, it might be the next month, it might be that you would grow to hate that novel, but all I know is that one year I was writing on Thanksgiving while the turkey was in the oven and I was stressed and I was hating it, and I realized this is not the point. The point is to love it. The point is to fast draft and get hyped and know that you can do something and be excited and want to write your next novel, because that's what NaNoWriMo is. It's not about the novel you are writing, it's about the novel you will write. It's about the practice to get to the place where you can write the best novel you can write. So give yourself days off. Now, the way I do this is I don't aim for 1,600 words a day, I aim for 2,000. I break my story into 25 chapters. So I have 5 days off in November. That's approximately 1 day a week plus Thanksgiving. In writing a 2,000-word chapter every day, I'm writing a beginning, a middle, and an end. I'm writing a cohesive narrative 25 times. Now, in that repetition, in that practice of writing a narrative 25 times, I am way more likely to actually correctly structure my entire narrative. I have practice ending a story by the time I'm done. I've done it 5 or 6 times in Act 1. I've done it a whole bunch in Act 2. I've done it in Act 3. And it makes for a very neat experience. And it also just, I think it creates a level of continuity within your own writing experience, where you learn to sit down to write a chapter from beginning to end and to not really stop until you do. I think it's an incredibly valuable skill to have, and NaNoWriMo is the perfect place to do it. Plus, it gives you days off, and who doesn't love days off? I mean, I just catch up on all my TV and actually see my family. It's very exciting. I come out of my cave. I am currently in my cave. They haven't seen me all day. So yes, give yourself days off. Consider a 2,000-word goal a day. That way you get a day off every week. Number 8, be honest with yourself. Figure out what motivates you and get a lot of it. For me, it's chocolate. It's always been chocolate. Probably not to the benefit of my weight, but I know that I will do almost anything for chocolate or coffee. Tea, whatever. So, the way I motivate myself is I have a bag of M&Ms during NaNoWriMo, and I set a word count. Now, originally it was like every 50 words, now I'm up to like 250 words, but every certain amount of words, I get one M&M. And I will write for that M&M. I pick out my color and set it next to me, and I'm just like, okay, one, then get to 250 words. When I finish this page, I get to eat this delicious M&M. It's probably not a healthy motivation, but it is what gets me writing during NaNoWriMo. So figure that out for yourself. Figure out if your motivation is not having to worry about your writing in the evening and be able to just watch some TV. So you want to get your writing done early so that you can do that. Figure out if your motivation is something really special at the end of the month that you're going to buy yourself. Or if your motivation is simply, I get to take my walk after I get my words done. Be really genuinely honest with yourself about what you need to get through this and what tools you have in your toolbox to motivate you on days when it becomes difficult, because it will become difficult. Usually not in the first week or even the second, but sometime in that third week when Thanksgiving hits for those in the States, when you're having to face the fact that you have to wrap this novel up and you still don't feel like you have enough, or you're lost and you went off course and you don't know what's going on, or you're just exhausted because you've been writing 2,000 words a day and you're not used to that. You went from writing no words a day to 2,000 words a day. That's a big mental strain. Have those little sparks of joy, have those genuinely, honestly motivating things. Have them ready beforehand, pull them out when you need them, and keep writing. Number 9, have a backup plot. In fact, have 10 backup plots. You know how I was saying to write a plot map? Write a dozen. Write a whole bunch of different directions your story could go so that you're ready when your story goes there. Because it will! There is no way that a story exactly follows a plot map unless you're someone who just naturally follows plot maps. And I know that most writers are not. We are creative. We see things. And more than that, if we are writing a proactive character, our understanding of them is going to change throughout the course of writing. So get ahead of that. Know that that will happen. Have a dozen alternate endings. Have a whole bunch of extra try-fail cycles or things that you can throw into the plot if it's getting dull. Have, in my case, a backup baby dragon. One of my plots for book 2 of my Last Gift saga was really, really struggling in the first act as far as just not being a whole bunch of people having panic attacks all the time because of the events of the first book. So I had an alternate plot, which was throw a baby dragon into the mix. And it works. It cheers people up, it pulls them out of their overwhelmed misery, and it sends them off into directions of, no, I can do this. I am a little bit calmer. I have cuddled a fluffy baby dragon, and now I can get on with my life. So have those elements picked out beforehand. And every time you think of one while you're writing, jot it down, because you know what? That instinct might be right. You might get to a point and realize that you plotted this out well, but you didn't understand the story you were telling. Justin Bernison and I, who are writing these fairy romances, have a lit RPG going on the side. And about halfway through, we realized that the story that we thought we were going to tell and the story we actually were telling were completely different. So we had to completely rework how we were going. And fortunately, we had this little side plot that we had talked about at one point, and we realized that was a plot we actually wanted to write to begin with, and so we could change tracks fairly easily. Have that ready. The enjoyment of those early moments of creation when you're creating your plot map, when you're first coming up with ideas, is so much fun. So roll with it. When I first went on my 20 years of writing Where Shadows Lie, I began all that because I was playing with little Playmobil figurines, and I had the same characters every time with my friend Sylvia, but we would change up the story. Sometimes it was Eleanor's a princess and Gabriel's a rebel and they fight each other, and sometimes they were swapped. Eleanor was a rebel and Gabriel was the prince and they fought each other, and sometimes they were both rebels fighting against something, and sometimes they were astronauts in space. And it really helped me understand that stories go wherever they want to go. You are the author. You can decide that. And there is no right way to tell your story. So be ready to throw the map away that you wrote, that I was all about, write the map, be ready to throw it away. Have a few backup maps, some local ones, you might be throwing your atlas away, but at least have the immediate roadmap that you can jump into, and have fun with it. The way I see it, we are all writing AU fanfic of our own work, and every single choice we make spawns another alternate reality. Have a few of those on your back burner. It's a lot of fun. And the last one, number 10. It's very simple. Write or die. I'm talking about the app that was really popular when I started writing, which was Write or Die, where you wrote, and if you stopped writing, it started deleting what you wrote. So you had to write, or you got lost everything that you were writing. Now, I'm not suggesting do that. It was a little extreme, but it is very, very valuable in that when you are fast drafting, you have to fast draft. Don't read what you just wrote. Don't go back. If you realize that you made a mistake, write yourself a note saying, go fix it later, and keep going. Write or die. Now, there are a lot of tools to do this. I like to sometimes write in a very, very, very light font color, so it fades into the background and I really have to struggle to read what I wrote. That works for me. I've also worked on an Alpha Smart Neo that only shows me the last 4 lines that I wrote. That also worked for me when I was first getting into this. Now I just kind of ignore everything I've written because I don't care as long as I'm writing. I'll fix it in edits and hate myself later. Future Allegra is always really overworked and really hates me. But I digress. NaNoWriMo is a fast drafting exercise. You are not doing yourself any favors by obsessing over one plot point or one sentence or one decision. Just whatever your first instinct is, roll with it. If you find yourself stuck, if you genuinely find yourself having writer's block, delete a paragraph and then write it over again. But that is the only exception. Like 9 times out of 10, I find writer's block is just you made a mistake that your brain is stumbling over. Go a different direction and you'll be fine. But write or die. Don't stop until you have a 50,000 word document sitting in your laptop. Then stop, sleep for a week, like go crazy. Don't ever write again if you for like 2 days, because you're going to want to write again because it's a fantastic experience. And almost everyone who writes one novel ends up writing more because it's addictive, yo. But write or die for NaNoWriMo. You want to actually get it done. That is the point. That is what you're going for, because when you do, when you look at that novel and say, hey, I wrote that in a month, suddenly 50,000 words isn't so scary. Or 100,000 words. Or just, I wrote a novel becomes not so scary. And it doesn't matter if you've done it 100 times or if this is your first time. Every single time you finish a novel, the next one is easier. The next 1,000 words are easier because you think, oh, I just have to do this 50 more times. I've done this. It's old news. This is easy. And that's what you want. You want it to be a joy. You want it to be play. You don't want it to be a struggle and a difficult job, because the reader will know. Your writing is an expression of your joy or your anguish or whatever emotions are going through you. And stress comes through too. So write or die. Just finish it. Just write nonsense. Write gibberish. Write breaking the fourth wall and talking about your writing process. It doesn't matter what words go onto the page. Remember point 1? It's going to be crap. It's going to be awful. You're going to have to rewrite it. It's not going to be good, so don't try to make it good, but do right. And that is all. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing. It helps the algorithms an incredible amount. If you'd like to join our community of mad writers who get into a lot of trouble and share a lot of memes, we have a Discord over at Plot Mom. We absolutely love having new people to talk to and to critique and ask advice from. So join us on Discord. You can find my novels on Amazon. Where Shadows Lie is an epic fantasy about what happens when the chosen one dies. And NaCl is an arcane punk pirate heist full of swear words and shenanigans. So you can find those on Amazon. Links will be below. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that your nano prep is going absolutely great, and I will be back soon with more videos. Ciao!